Centuries of history, made by people, culture and nature. The Mediterranean Sea is the cradle of modern culture, a huge novel of at least 5,000 years that developed its story mainly by the sea. Today, commercial and passenger routes walk along the same paths of the past, even if the surroundings are extremely changed. There's no more wind pushing the boats, but mighty engines run by petrol. And if nature is the only gift we cannot damage, because there isn't another one for us, we have to preserve it. In this way, the Southeast Europe program has believed in the Ecoport 8 project, starting from the guidelines of Corridor 8 that have to link Italian coasts, in particular Bari and Brindisi, to the Bulgarian port of Varna on the Black Sea through the Balkans. The project aims to find the most stunning environmental problems already existing in the port of Southeast Europe area, which are the main access points to Corridor 8, in order to create a multi-purpose network. The target of SEE, today the only European program covering this area, is double. First of all, to compare the different problems of the ports, focusing on water quality and transport efficiency. Then, to find the main ways to solve the problems, giving life to a real environmental network policy. In order to start with the project, we had a long journey through the ports of Albania, Bulgaria, Greece, Italy, Montenegro and Romania. In this work, you will see the good and the bad. It's the first step towards a better future on European seas. History, culture and a strategic position on the west coast of the Adriatic Sea have given to Bari, main city of Apulia, a very important role in Mediterranean navigation since ancient times. Though not having a natural port, through the centuries the inhabitants of Bari has built, according to their great skillness in trade development, a strong network with other countries on the Adriatic Sea. The strategic location of the port of Bari and the continuous demands of the cruise lines for the landing of new ships with the increase of passengers traffic has directed the Port Authority to plan the project of extension of the cruise terminal and to strengthen the development of this sector into the port. In 2011, we reached 2 million of passengers, with a great increase in cruise lines bookings, nearly 600,000 units. But our strength is made by the 1,400,000 people using our port to reach the Balkans, especially Greece, Albania, Montenegro and Croatia. Besides, we planned many actions in order to manage people and goods in the right way. We created, through a regular competitive bidding, a service of waste collection on the boats, every kind of waste, even the most dangerous. We have a constant monitoring of port waters and we are ready to take action immediately to save the area. But above all, we are able to manage the real threat on the port of Bari, the electricity on the quays. Now boats have to keep their engines on to produce electricity for all their needs, even during the presence in the port. And this is dangerous for the environment. We made an agreement with the Italian electric company in order to put in the port a little medium voltage plant that in the future will allow us to give electricity to the boats and in this way to avoid part of the pollution. Unfortunately, the port has not enough ground space, proportionally to the high freights and passengers traffic. The still partial filling of Marisabella area, a great bay at the west end of Portugal area, was done to overcome this problem, but as we can see, the parking is full of trucks and there's no space for containers. A completion filling of Marisabella area will give an increase on ground space and possibility of realization of a new ferry and ro-ro terminal to strengthen the ferry and ro-ro traffic. The work on the structure will start within the next months. At the end of the works, we'll have 300,000 square meters of storage area and 1,500 meters of quays, useful to improve our activities, simplifying our job. It will be a good thing even for passengers and truck drivers, that will see a big improvement in waiting times on the quays. 20 years ago, the port of Durrës was famous only because of the great migration of Albanese people towards Italy and Europe, following the spirit of freedom. Today, Durrës is working to become a modern city with a modern port. The administration of the port made a significant financial commitment to the displacement of some sensitive activities, transferring of oil tanks from Port of Durrës to Romano Port, and transformation of repair yard into a port commercial activity. Change of cargo traffic from bulk to containers, especially mineral ores, decreased the impact on environment in the port area. The port of Durrës has 11 mooring basins, 4 of them for passengers terminal. 1 year ago, we moved the oil tankers used for petrol and fuel 5 kilometers away from this side of the port. For this reason, we built a new, modern port for these elements: oil, petrol and the other fuels. We built even a new plant for oil treatment and for all the materials taken from the port basin. About our environmental strategy, we are trying to improve the conditions of all Durrës area. We plant a special kind of trees, useful not only to give a better look to the port area, but also to clean the air. A commitment made by environmental monitoring, trying to follow EU standards, and by a total restyling of the visual impact of the port, starting from the container area. Brand new cranes, a huge space for containers and 4 mooring basins. And also the passenger terminal is trying to change its face to become the main business card of New Albania. By the way, the main problem of Durrës is that the area of the port is too near to the city. For this reason, port activity has an impact on the community living near the port area. The repair yard is still within the port. There's a lack of sewage treatment plant from reception facilities and a lack of communication policy and practice for informing the society about initiatives taken to protect the environment. Dredging project will give a clear picture of sediment analysis and environmental impact assessment. Transfer of oil tanks from Port of Durrës area to Porto Romano, which is a specialized port for oil handling, will decrease the impact of the port on the community.
In the tankers we make the separation of the oil and water with decantation. The dirty waters with oil are collected in another tanker, and then they enter by this tanker to the installation. There is another filter for solid waste. The solid waste is separated in this part, and the final stage of the treatment is this deposit here, when we collect the pure clean water.
It had to be the end of the 8th corridor, gate to Russia and Asia through the Black Sea. Even if EU partially changed its mind about the politics of this path, the city of Varna owns a port able to become one of the most important entrances of Europe from east. The large size of the aquatorium and its very good location allow to isolate from the city certain activities according to their hazard. Port of Varna East is in the urban area, close to the cultural, historical and administrative city center. Therefore, the general idea is to remove the industrial port activities to Port of Varna West. Only a passenger terminal and a yacht terminal will be located in the recreational area planned at the site of the Port of Varna East. Our first commitment is to perform environmental policy that suit EU standards. In the last year, we implemented ISO 14000 on activities that represents our everyday business, to follow the environmental issues. This certification is our first step. We have some problems in heritage from the past, in terms of technology and environment, so this is our first step and we need to have more. There is investment in technology and equipment, we cannot separate them. We are looking for, in any case, which kind of investments to be done, and we are looking agreements and collaboration with business partners for the port, and we are supporting financially such activities which have a strong impact on environmental protection. Like other ports in this area, Varna's one has many problems, mainly due to an old scheme of management. There is still too much pollution, especially in the Equatorial, caused by the poor circulation of water. Then, the access to Port of Varna West is limited by the low air draft, while Port of Varna West is located in the westernmost internal part of Varna Lake. For these reasons, the water current circulation is low, thus the natural recovery is obstructed. Therefore, a significant effort to protect and maintain the environment is needed. Another technical issue is low air draft due to Asparuh Bridge, which firmly restricts the access of big vessels to Varna West. The authorities are looking for solutions, considering the environmental restrictions. There are some technological issues, especially in Varna West. We have some problems with the cargo movements, especially with chemical cargo. And so a renovation of technology is very crucial. This is the main concern. There are some other issues, but the investments required for the moment are too high to handle. A city on the other side. Nobody knows surely, but it's possible that the name of Bar, main port of Montenegro and, until 2007, of Serbia, could come from Bari, exactly in front of it, beyond the sea. A natural port at the south end of former Yugoslavia, Albanian borders are less than 20 kilometers far. The present structure was built in the 50s for two principal purposes: Cold War and energy, as we can see by the enormous plant on the south side of the bay. Today the port is trying to become modern, facing all the environmental menace gathered in years of carelessness.
For these 5 years, probably, we are trying to implement environmental policy and to improve our environmental management system through participating in various projects, including Ecoport 8, which is now, I think, the most important one. Our environmental problems are mainly linked with the handling of bulk cargo and problems which are linked with that handling. I mean water quality, air quality, etc.
The renewal of the port structure, both with a general redrawing of environmental and logistic policy, are the main conditions to fully make use of the real strength of Bar, the railway line to Skopje, Macedonia, already linked to Varna and the Black Sea through rail and road. A diversification of trade traffic through this line could represent a possibility to give life again to the spirit of Corridor 8.
We are trying to harmonize our economic interests and environmental problems. It is not always easy. It needs a lot of investments and activities and projects, but we find especially Ecoport 8 project good means to overcome some problems concerning that you asked.
Patras, the western gate of Greece, 5,000 years of history, the place of the martyrdom of Iphigenia, Agamemnon's daughter, sacrificed to the war of Troy, and of St. Andrew. Today Patras is the third urban area of Greece, and its ancient port, in front of the old city, is going to be doubled, but in another part of the coast, toward the south. New parts of the ports, Patras South, are built according to the environmental studies which are performed according to European and international legislation. The new passengers terminal, already operating through Greece, Italy and Albania, is an important step towards a modern idea of port, separated but not far from the city, and the new bridge, connecting Patra and the Peloponnese to mainland Greece. The move to the new facility has already improved a lot the traffic situation in Patras, because now trucks do not have to go through the city once out of the port. A new road infrastructure in the area in the north entrance of Patras, the bed wave of Patras, and some connection to the Beltway are finished, and these have a vast improvement on the traffic situation, and it's gonna promote development in the city, together with the completion of the national highway connecting Patras and Athens. The new port will allow to overcome the lack of infrastructure of the historic port, where pollution still threatens the city. But if the environment will be safe in the new port, the main threat to the change is the financial crisis of Greece, that's limiting money resources to complete the commercial and container area of the new structure. The Port Authority is committed to implement environmental policies in the new facility. For example, there is a cooperation with the University of Patras network to verify that atmospheric pollution in the new facility is at much lower levels than in the old facility. This cooperation is still going on. They are taking measurements and we will soon count results of that. In front of it, the wonderful island of Kerkyra. Inside, the will to become a new Piraeus in the north. Igoumenitsa is the Greek port nearest to Italy, only 9 hours to reach the port of Bari, 11 to Ancona. It's not by chance that local portual authority made large investments in infrastructure, especially for passenger reception. In the port there is an unlimited mooring space and good connections with the hinterland and in particular with Turkey. Just outside the port starts the Egnatia Highway, connecting Greece and Istanbul.
Egnatia motorway is very important for us because it ends into the port. It's one of the few ports that is motorways of the sea, so it plays a big role for us, Egnatia motorways. So a lot of goods can be transported by trucks from Turkey to us here. We are doing some research. Recently we are in Turkey in exposition there, logistics, and we found some very important people there, and they want to transfer their goods through our port here. Phase B here and there, and phase C, and as I said, we have a lot of work.
To grow as a modern port, Igoumenitsa has however to face some environmental matters. The aquatorium is a closed basin, and then the poor circulation increases the risk of pollution. A natural configuration of the area, even more dangerous taking into account the fact that the bathing is widespread in the Bay of Igoumenitsa. The proximity to the city also creates problems of pollution, but a constant monitoring of water could be useful to avoid any damage to the environment.
Petroleum is an issue. Environmental in general are very important for us. So our port is participating in a lot of European problems in order to find the best solution here for our port. As far as concerned, for that matter that you mentioned, for the oil or with the safety measures, we can export that to Italy. I think in the other ports it works perfectly, but we have to participate and have the safe measures that we have to have here.
Constanza, together with Varna and Burgas ports, represents the most eastern partner port of Ecoport project. Thanks to its strategic position in the Black Sea, the port has a big volume of commercial traffics. Moreover, is ongoing a new project, extension by 150 meters of North Breakwater. The main objective of the project is to ensure a protection of the sailing lines and to reduce the destructive effects of waves upon the port facilities by decreasing the waves agitation in the port aquatory. Unfortunately, the old structure of the port threatens the development of a new idea of management. An improper use of some ground areas, occupied also by waste staking, also for certain types of hazardous waste, it has iron scrap, linked to the insufficient use of the opportunities of reuse, recycling and the utilization of waste, caused an excess of waste accumulation. Dumping to landfill remains the primary method of waste treatment.
The circulation is rather different compared to the Mediterranean or even Adriatic, or more or less compared to the Atlantic Ocean. And so the circulation of water and mainly of the sediments carried into the Black Sea by the main river, the Danube, is very important. Everybody knows that Danube River, the greatest one from Europe, carried into the sea all the sediments and but even all the pollutant from the Danube basin. The ships are a very important agent of transport of bulk water, of sediments, and even the pollutant. And this pollutant remains into the sediments. As geologists, we are focused on the sediments because the sediments are like an archive where are stored all these products.
From now on, Maritime Ports Administration will develop a new master plan for Costanza Port that will establish the port development tendencies on long term, and the goods operating will be done according with the market requests. The effects of this strategy will be the mitigation of the ground areas dedicated to iron scrap operations. Environment, environment, environment. If Europe really wants a future, it is necessary to pursue a common policy about sea government. EU and non-EU countries need to face all the problems and to find plain solutions, suitable to each and every part of Mediterranean and Black Seas. Centuries of history can do anything against pollution that is able to cancel in a few decades what nature built in thousands of years. A mission for future, if European people will catch it.